What is going on, guys and girls? My name is Size, and today we're going to be looking at all class perks inside of Biomutant. Now, I wanted to make this video so this way you guys can see all the perks for each class and kind of make your decision on what class you want to go for based off what perks they have. Now, before we get into the video, I want to say I'll be doing a 1,000 subscriber special. So if that interests you guys, definitely hit that subscribe button. We're almost there. We only have like 50 or something like that subscribers left until we hit that 1,000 mark. Once we hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, I will be doing a special little thing that you'll guys see. We'll be seeing here soon once we hit it. But with that being said, like I said, I have a Discord made, so if you guys want to join it up, chill and vibe with the community, ask me questions, or just talk about different games in general, that link for the invite will be in the comment section. And also, we'll be streaming this game on Twitch when it goes live. I'm thinking about doing a 24-hour live stream, so if that interests you guys, definitely go hit a follow button on my Twitch. That'll also be linked in the description, and so this way you guys get notified when I go live. With all that being said, let's just get straight into the video today. So the first class we'll be covering is the Mercenary. Now his starting perks are Twin Silver Grip and Fury. Twin Silver Grip just basically allows you to dual wield melee weapons, and Fury increases your melee attack damage by 10% to the target. So Fury is definitely a good one to start off with, more than melee damage if you're going to go for a melee build, and then Twin Silver Grip's always good to have to dual wield. Plus he has starting gear, which will give him, a little bit of a bump ahead of the other classes just because he has, decent starting gear off, to start. So let's go into the next class perk. So his next class perk is Megamind. Key energy regen is increased by 20%. His next perk is Reflexes. Weapon-based range attacks from enemies have a 10% chance to miss you completely. His next one is Invincibility. Your armor and damage from melee weapon attacks is increased by 20% when you're at full health. And the last one is Brutality. Critical damage from melee attacks is increased by 10%. So, all in all, the Mercenary looks like it's going to be a really good class for if you're going for a melee damage build. Personally, if I was going to go for a melee damage build, I'd either run Invincibility or Brutality for that, extra damage. And you guys can play around, obviously with the other stuff and see what you guys want, but I'll definitely be running one of those perks for sure. And the Mercenary overall, like I said, looks like it's going to be a really good class with a lot of good balance for survivability and damage if you're going for a melee build. So I would say this is going to be a pretty top contender if you're going to be doing that type of build. So let's get into the next class here. The next class we'll be covering is Saboteur. His starting perks are Twin Silver Grip and Hypergenetic. Twin Silver Grip allows you to dual wield melee weapons, and Hypergenetic reduces your dodge energy cost by 20%. Now let's go into the next perk. The next perk is Reflexes. Weapon-based range attacks from enemies have a 10% chance to miss you completely. The next perk is Agile. Your dodge distance is increased by 20%. The next perk is Moving Target. Your basic movement speed is increased by 5% when in combat. And the last perk he has is Evasive. Your armor is increased by 20% while dodging and or in the air. Now, the Saboteur looks like it's going to be kind of a more tankier side to melee. It doesn't have those skills that the Mercenary has to increase your damage output, but it looks like if you're looking for more speedy playstyle or for more of a safer melee playstyle, then the Saboteur looks like is the class you're going to want to go. So, with that being said, let's move on to the next class. The next class we have is Sentinel. His starting perk is Toughness. Your base armor is increased by 10%. Let's get into his next perk here. His next perk is Medic. Health regen from items in general is increased by 10%. His next perk is Ricochet. An enemy's weapon ranged attack has a 10% chance to ricochet back and damage the attacker. His next perk is Invincibility. Your armor and damage from melee attacks is increased by 20% when you're at full health. His last perk is Knock. Dodging into a smaller enemy makes them stumble and fall. So, Invincibility is definitely a good perk to keep an eye on. It's going to be good for if you're running a melee build. With Sentinel, you're going to be able to increase your armor and damage from melee attacks by 20% when you're full health. So it's definitely a really nice bonus. You just got to make sure that you're always at full health to get that damage buff. But also, Knock is going to be an interesting perk to play with. I wonder how dodging into smaller enemies is going to affect the playstyle. And because, if they're falling on the ground, I wonder exactly, if you can just keep dashing through them and keep, knocking them on the ground, or if there's, a cooldown or something to where you can only knock them, on the ground once per, every, just say 2 seconds or something like that. So I kind of wanted to see how Knock is going to work, but Sentinel definitely looks like he's going to be a lot more tough and a lot more tankier than the other classes, but he's definitely going to have, one skill, at least it's going to help for running a melee build, so just keep that in mind if you're choosing Sentinel. So let's get into the next class here. So the next class we got is a class that I'm going to be personally going with, and that's Deadeye. Deadeye starting perk is perfect reload. Your ranged weapons are reloaded instantly, and your next magazine is granted 20% damage. Let's get into his next perk here. His next perk is Crack Shot. Non-automatic rifles inflict 20% more damage. Next perk is Quick Reload. The reload time for ranged weapons is reduced by 25%. Next perk is Sniper. Non-automatic rifles have a 10% critical chance bonus. The next perk is Gunslinger. Dual-wield guns have a 20% increased rate of fire. And his last perk is Sharpshooter. Two-handed guns inflict double damage. So now, Deadeye, it looks like he's going to be insane, personally. It's perks that he has, looks like you're going to be able to just increase your damage output for ranged guns. Like, if you're going to be running a dual-wielded gun build, or if you're going to be going for a, like, two-handed gun build, Deadeye is 100% the class you're going to pick. Now, personally, Sharpshooter looks like it's going to be a broken perk, just because two-handed guns inflict double damage. That seems insane to me. So I am 100% going to be running a two-handed Deadeye, primal race build. I guarantee you that this build's going to be broken. So I cannot wait to get in and play with it, but Deadeye looks like he's going to be an insanely fun and an insanely high damage dealing class. So with that being said, let's get into the next class here. The next class we got is Commando. His starting perk is Fury. Ranged weapon attacks inflict 10% more damage to the target. His next perk is Stimulus. Your armor damage from melee attacks is increased by 20% when your health drops below 20%. His next perk is Adrenaline. Your attack speed with melee weapons is increased by 10% when your health drops below 20%. His next perk is Shock. Shotgun hits have a 5% chance to stun a small enemy per hit inflicted. His last perk is Brutality. Critical damage from ranged attacks is increased by 10%. Now, Commando definitely looks like he's going to be more geared towards, like melee attacks, for melee builds. I'm curious to see how the low health mechanic is going to play into the game, because I wonder if there's a way that you can keep your health at that, below 20% point. Like, I wonder if there's items that'll decrease your health, or if there's a way that you can kind of damage yourself. Kind of like in Borderlands, where you can throw, like, a zero fuse, longbow quasar, or zero fuse, grenade at your ground to damage yourself. So this way you can get that, below 20%, below 20% health gate, and you can get that damage increase or that attack speed increase. Because it definitely looks like if you can, Commando is going to be a fun and interesting playstyle for melee, builds, like a different alternative to Mercenary. So I really do hope there's a way that you can manually get yourself below that 20% health gate. So I kind of can't wait to see what type of different builds people put out for the Commando for a melee build, and kind of see where that goes. But let's get into the next class here. So the next class we have is Cyfring. His starting perks are Sparkball and Megamind. Megamind just increases your energy regen by 20%, and Sparkball is an ability that he starts off with that basically just shoots a ball of lightning to damage an enemy in front of you. So with that being said, let's get into his next perks. His next perk is Nocturnal. You have plus 10 intellect attribute at night. His next perk is Mind Mount. Power damage ability attacks have a 10% chance to inflict a critical hit. His next perk is Size Spikes. Power damage attacks inflict 10% more damage to the target. And his last ability is Brain Drain. Attacks that inflict power damage regenerate your health by 20%. Now, Cyfring is looking like that class if you want to go for that mage build, if you want to go for that ability build, if you want to go for those power damaging attack builds, you're going to want to choose this class. He's going to be having a lot of options to increase the damage of those attacks. Healing those attacks for power damage to keep yourself regenerated, and survivability. As well as the Nocturnal one, which is 10% intellect at night. I kind of like that. Kind of reminds me of the Khajiit race in Skyrim. How they get attributes at night, or not attributes, but special effects at night. So this is definitely an interesting class. Like I said, if you're going to go for any type of mage build or any type of power damage or ability build, you're going to be wanting to run the Cyfring class. This class perks looks like it's going to be very useful for those type of builds. So with all in all, with everything being said, those are all the class perks that you're going to have for the game. Now, like I said, you guys can go through and break down which class you want to go for based off the perks and so on and so forth. I'm not going to tell you what class you should go for, what class you shouldn't go for. Now, I know there's people out there that already are putting builds out, but most of them that are putting the builds out are, just kind of saying stuff and hoping that it'll work. They don't really know, they haven't got their hands on the game. They're not really doing, they're not really testing the builds out and seeing what works and what doesn't. But now people like Fetcher Life and stuff like that definitely, they played the game so they can, put those builds out. But most people don't have the game, so they're just kind of, you know, throwing misinformation out there and hoping that it'll work when the game comes out. So I'm not going to be doing any type of builds or anything like that until I physically get my hands on the game and physically play it, just so I can give you guys, you know, full up-to-date builds and so on and so forth that actually work and play well. So with that being said, though, if you guys did enjoy the video, definitely hit the like button, and if you guys want to see more of this type of content, definitely hit that subscribe button. Lets me know you guys enjoying it, and it also, you know, you guys can get notified when a new video goes live. Well, I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all in the next video. Peace.